Good morning, welcome back to the workshop. Today's workshop is titled Inspiration versus Perspiration. Let me explain through the slides what I mean by that. The famous German physicist Albert Einstein said, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with a problem longer." There is also a saying, writing a thesis is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. All of you are researchers because you're bright, curious, creative learners. That's your 1%. The rest is sheer grit and discipline, and often tedium. Sticking with that long and often winding road to answer your particular research question is when the discipline and perspiration begin. As with many other professions, you need to complete your apprenticeship to demonstrate to yourself and the established scholars in your academic community that you have achieved mastery of your craft. And there is some clear scaffolding to support you to do this. This structure helps you through your first attempts at making written order out of research chaos. It is, of course, vital that you meet the expectations of your universities and faculties' guidelines. It is against these that your examiners will assess whether you have mastered your task. At UIII, these are called the Technical Guidelines Thesis Writing. The main sections of the thesis are described in the order in which they will appear in your final submission. That is, abstract, preface, introduction, literature review, research methodology, which includes the type of research, the research approach, the object or subject of your research, your data collection methods, your data analysis, your research findings include your conclusion, your discussion, and any suggestions or recommendations you have for future research. I want to single out the literature review section for a moment. This is one that a lot of students find more difficult than the rest. Please remember that this isn't a description of all that you've read. You may have read a lot, but not everything that you read necessarily ends up in the literature review. This is an outline of the literature that you've read that is relevant to your research problem. Your critique of that literature to demonstrate you understand the contribution it's making to your work. You may not feel entitled to critique the distinguished scholars in your field as a junior researcher, but this is a key requirement in your apprenticeship. You don't need to be negatively critical, just to show your reader the relevance of what you've read to your approach to answering your research question. That list above is a very neat and tidy list. It is hugely helpful in breaking down the enormous and what can seem at first overwhelming task of conducting a major research project. But the neat order can be deceptive. It's not chronological. This is a list of expectations that can be read by research apprentices like yourself as implying that the research and writing process is equally neat, orderly, sequential and chronological, but it isn't. It's full of messy, confusing and disorderly ideas until it stops being full of those. Until you've read, learned, written and analysed so much that something starts to get into your mind as the answer to the big research question you began by asking. Until you have become are the expert in the topic that you are researching. That's part one of what will be a two-part workshop. We'll come back to what to expect if it's not the neat, orderly and sequential list next time. Thank you.